Hey traders, TG Watkins here. Let's see, it is September 6th. It is Tuesday. I'm going to be recording this a day ahead of time because I'm in Napa. We're doing some wine tours and basically just taking a quick little vacation trip. Anyway, I'm going to be tuned into the market and all that kind of stuff. So I checked on things today and we had the 3-day weekend, so Monday was holiday. And today, basically just a whole lot of chop. So I'm going to be going through a little bit of information today so that you guys can see what's going on tomorrow, Wednesday, and then we'll see where we can kind of piece things together with that. As always, if you guys are looking into more information about me and who I am and information, come over here to profitpilot.com. And for those of you who are interested in day trading, and pretty typically all I talk about is swing trading and that kind of stuff, longer term. But I always say that the Moxie indicator and the Moxie indicator method and all the rules that I teach, daily, hourly, 15-minute, all that kind of stuff, all the rules are the same and they can be applied to day trading and the lower time frames. And so if that is something that you guys are interested, we had a really, really good day Friday, actually. I know the market totally went straight down and all that kind of stuff, but as far as a day trader and a trader in general, we don't care if it goes up or down. And that really is important because, hey, if you guys like day trading, I went into the 15, the 5, and the 2-minute on Friday and showed you guys. In fact, I was in the chat room at the Moxie Indicator Mastery of the trading room, and I was talking to a few traders like, hey, did you see this? Did you see this? Yeah, I saw that. I was kind of looking at it and all that kind of stuff. And a few people were actually making some pretty good trades, especially with those 0 days to expiration trades. I'm not an option trader. Maybe I kind of dabble with it a little bit, but I know I got a lot of option traders in my room, and they're doing these 0 day to expiration trades, and so day trades. And we were on the same page looking at this stuff. So if you guys come over here looking at the happy day trade from Friday, I just want you guys to be able to see that and see how I see the market, and all the things that I apply to the daily, hourly, and 15 can be applied to the 15, the 5, and the 2 if you're interested in going down that low on that time frame. It was a great setup. I mean, it was totally crystal clear, and man, what a big day that was if you were out down there day trading. So as we hear in with the market, not much going on today, Tuesday. I will say that things are really, really oversold, and it's looking to a point where we are probably likely to get a bounce. But I think, as most people probably understand, the bounce is going to be sold into. I think that's what we're looking for. So here was Friday. This is what we were talking about, the big down day. You kind of gapped up, moved up. Everyone was talking about the jobs report. I think that was just like whatever. That's just whatever kind of news. It didn't really matter. This was all technical. We had however many days going straight down. We had a whole week and a half or 2 weeks straight down. So we just got to a point, we were getting oversold here on the daily chart, all that kind of stuff. And we were come into this previous level and this previous level, and we were just right there. So everything from a technical standpoint looked like it was at a place that it was going to bounce. Fine. People want to talk about the employment report or jobs or whatever, anything like that's just news. That's just excuses in this case. And so we got that bounce up. But you know what? You go down, you look at the lower time frames, and if you look at the newsletter, I'll show you exactly how that thing rolled over on the 5 and the 2-minute time frames. That being said, we open up on a Tuesday, and we got some pretty big action in the morning. That's fine. I'm an end-of-day trader, and this is why I like to, because you kind of let things settle out. And it turns out today was just kind of a big chop fest. Now, we don't know what Wednesday is going to look like, and in fact, you guys are going to know more than I do, because I'm not really going to be around too much. But this looks like an elf shoe, doesn't it? For those of you who know the Moxie indicator and the rules and all that kind of stuff, kind of looks like an elf shoe, basically a double bottom. In fact, here's another one: leg, heel, arch of the foot, ball of the foot, right? Elf toe. So things are to a point where they are looking very, very excessive to the downside. And now I know maybe some people out there are looking at this and it's like super weak and all that kind of stuff, and they think, oh yeah, this is going to fall apart. The market doesn't really work like that. I mean, only in certain extreme cases do things really just keep going down. But at this point, it's looking pretty frothy to the downside. And you can see we've basically been hammering out a bottom. Like, here's our double bottom. And in fact, if I zoom out and we look at this on the 15-minute time frame, and you guys got the Moxie indicator, what are we noticing? Oh, let me draw that better. We got this. We got divergence. In fact, the Moxie indicator is kind of staying above 0 compared to price staying below the 15-minute time frame. So we're looking at that as basically things are really looking pretty oversold. And the things I've been telling to the Moxie indicator group is we should be basically expecting some sort of bounce. And now, I personally not interested in buying that bounce. I think that bounce is just going to be a move right up into resistance. I'm more interested in shorting the bigger move, which I think is going to be to the downside. So any kind of move up, at this point, I don't think it's going to run into the hourly 50. I think it's probably going to go over the hourly 50, something like that. And you know what? Using the Moxie indicator, if it goes over the hourly 50, clearly we know that the Moxie indicator is going to be below zero. That puts us in an inverse trampoline move on the hourly chart. So this is why I'm very interested in shorting, not interested in going long. And if we look at this, what do we got? We got price kind of trying to move up over a downtrending daily 8 and a daily 21. In fact, the moat is to the downside. So everything I see is to the downside. Now, of course, I think it's oversold, but that doesn't mean we can't get a bounce that we can sell into. And so that's really what I'm looking into. Now, for some of you who are very savvy and who know the Moxie indicator, some of you might be catching what we're looking at here on the daily chart. And you might be saying, hey, isn't that a regular trampoline move? Shouldn't we be buying this? Because a trampoline move is like a buy the dip kind of move, price below the 50, but the Moxie indicator above zero? Yes, normally. But we are in a bear market. Things are very, very weak. And the reason I talk about a trampoline move as a potential trampoline move, if you guys kind of pick up, I really try to say, and this is just on me, I got to make sure I say it is a potential trampoline move, because price below the 50 but the Moxie indicator above zero is a potential trampoline move, because what can happen is price can basically stay here and eventually the Moxie indicator can keep going lower. And so it doesn't have to work. We have to look at the lower time frame for that confirmation. So I have a feeling if we check back in a week or two or three, however long it takes, I have a feeling price is going to basically kind of be in this area and the Moxie indicator is just going to keep going lower. And this will never actually fire. Like, it has a potential, but it'll never actually fire as a trampoline move. So keep that in mind. And for those of you who saw that and pointed that out, great, good eye for you. But we know that if you guys are that savvy, you know to be watching the lower time frame. And right now, that's telling you, don't buy this. There's nothing setting up to the long side, and you know, don't get too excited about that. So, let's see what I can do about that. Anyway, so we're looking at that for the market on its own, and IWM, NASDAQ, they're all looking the same way. And if we look at the UVXY, this thing is looking spring-loaded. Now, the UVXY is a very, very tricky vehicle. Okay, so you can see leg, heel, arch of the foot, ball of the foot. You know, looking for that up to all this kind of stuff. Trampoline move, trampoline move. It's looking primed to go, but it can still be messy. And so what if you guys want to, feel free to build a position in here, but you got to understand that it can still move a lot in through here. So just don't, you know, if you're going to do it, be prepared that it can move up and down easily 10%, because what is this range? You know, it's like from here to here is, you know, 10 to 15%. So if you're going to start building a position here, be prepared that it can do that. But I'm looking for kind of an opportunity, even, I don't know, even maybe down here again. We'll have to see. But I'm definitely watching the UVXY to see if this thing's going to go. I'm not quite ready to get into this. We've traded a couple times, made some money on it. That's fine. I'm looking for the next big move up. We're going to have to see when that thing is, but boy, this thing looks like it's ready to go. So if you guys have been following me with the UVXY and all that kind of stuff, like, this thing's really looking ready to go. But just don't be surprised if it kind of comes down here before moving up. That's just how the UVXY works. It's kind of crazy like that. So let's look into a couple names out there. So some of the big names, of course, I think these things are going to look pretty much like the rest of the market. If we look at Apple, and through here, we've seen that huge pullback, and through here, and what do we got? 50, 250, right? And again, you know, some of you savvy Moxie traders looking at this, you're like, hey, trampoline move, right? And I was like, potential. It's absolutely potential. But you know what we do? We look at the next lower time frame, and what is really screaming at us? The fact that we have a very, very strongly downtrending hourly 50, and look how far below zero the Moxie indicator is. What this is telling me is that there is almost no hope, at least nowhere near. It's going to take a lot of work for the Moxie indicator to get back up near zero, a lot of work. So what is more likely to happen? Either we chop or we go up, but all of this up is going to be shortable opportunities because the Moxie indicator is so far below zero. So I hate to sound really definitive here, but short the bounces. I mean, this is really what we're looking at here. I mean, unless we see something radically different, short the bounces, and it's going to take, and if we do see something different, like if we're considering going long, it's gonna something is gonna just have to change out there, like something with a narrative, something big, something like whatever. It's gonna have to change. But for right now, we know that the general direction is down, like the trend is down, and so really at this point, bounces, sure, bounces might happen, all sorts of stuff might happen here, but you know what? These are good shorting opportunities, and I believe the market's going to go lower. So can't say it for sure, of course, but I think that is the direction that things are going to go. And if we can, take that into account, then I think we've got a pretty good idea of what we can plan for. Apple, Amazon, I mean, they're just, everything's looking the same. Literally everything's looking the same. Yes, of course, these names are at here at the daily 50. They're kind of hovering at the daily 50. Of course, they're going to be finding some temporary support at the daily 50 and all that kind of stuff. And they can bounce up a little ways. They can definitely bounce up back here. They can bounce up to the daily 21. They can bounce up over the hourly 50. Of course, sure. But I think eventually these are going to be, good opportunities to then short, load up short, and go that direction. So Amazon, Apple, let's see, Microsoft, same kind of thing. It's just I mean, look how tired these things are. And I know maybe some of you guys are like, oh yeah, super oversold, back into some support. Sure, that's all possible. And I'm prepared for a bounce. These things are really, really looking oversold. But I think any kind of bounce or flag up to is going to be up into resistance. I mean, Microsoft is actually probably a pretty good example of this, because what are we doing? We are back below the daily 50, and what's going to happen? If we move back up, what are we going to do? Probably run into the underside of the daily 50, short it, and then back down. Again, the Moxie indicator group, you guys know the first move versus second move, and this is kind of where we're at. So I'm really looking forward to a bounce because, first off, I don't want to be shorting right here. That's not a great place to be shorting. So I'd love to see a move up like this, and then we could short. So if you guys can kind of piece that together, I think we've got a good idea of what we're looking at. TAN, let's look at the solars. We got ENPH, we got First Solar, all those things are really, really high up there. That's fine. But what do we got? Notice how far price got away from the daily 50. And notice how, got really, really overbought outside here out of the third ATRs. And you know what? Price started to work its way down. I think eventually ENPH, SunPower, SunW, I mean, you name it, First Solar, I think they're all super overbought, and eventually they're just going to keep working their way down. And you know what? What do we got? Leg, heel, arch of the foot, ball of the foot, elf toe. That was an inverse elf shoe. It's a double top, right? And then in addition to that, what is this? It's an inverse trampoline move. And you know what? I'm kind of gaming with you guys because I look at these things, I tell you the positions and the patterns, and I'm just like, hey, what's this? What's this? You know why? Because I got these things written down. I got these rules. They're baked into what the Moxie indicator is and the Moxie indicator rules. And we speak this same language. I can talk to you, I can show you these things, and we can all look at this and be like, oh yeah, I get that. That makes sense. These are consistent. These are things that we can all look at and understand, and then we can take the same trades. It's fantastic. So what is that? It's an inverse trampoline move. Price should not be over the 50 if the Moxie indicator is below zero, and so we can see that coming and be like, oh yeah, okay, so I'm not going to get suckered into a long move on this. Why? Because the Moxie indicator is communicating with me and telling me that it shouldn't be a long move. In fact, that looks like a really, really great short move and a short setup. So that's the perk and benefits of the Moxie indicator right there. So if you guys don't have it, go look into it, go grab it. All right, then we look at, say, USO. And this one's honestly kind of been a little funky for a while. It was kind of mixed. We were at the monthly 10 and the weekly 50 and the daily 200 and all these kind of things. We're looking at a level and positive divergence and all this stuff. But you know what? It just could not get anywhere. And you got to think about the bigger picture. Like, what's really going on with the bigger picture? We think, okay, we've got the Fed. They're trying to tighten. We got all this stuff, the economy and all this kind of, like, whatever. I know we got Russia and Ukraine. I know that oil and energy and all that kind of stuff. But, like, really, where do we think? We're hearing all this news about contraction, recession, all that kind of stuff, and we know the Fed is on a mission to basically turn things back down. They do not want higher priced oil. So what do we got? We got price on USO coming into this thing, and it moved up across a downtrending daily 50. You know, maybe there was a little bit of debate between, is the daily 200 going to hold, or is the daily 50 going to hold? And personally, I've seen this before. I'm in favor with the daily 50 until I see otherwise. I like the daily 50 as kind of the strength. And what we got? Price over the 50, Moxie indicator below zero, inverse trampoline move. Again, with our basic setup. And so we saw this, and it's like, okay, you know, if we're going to try and go long, we can do that for a little while, and we'll go as long as price is over the hourly 50. But you know what? That didn't last very long. And now we're back down here and back down here. Sure, maybe bounces and stuff, but this is looking pretty negative too. Just watch. Give it a few days, couple weeks, whatever you want to do. But if price really can't get past the daily 50, what's it going to do? Probably going to go below the daily 200. And what's it going to do when it finally falls off the daily 200? It's probably going to be the end of the move, because if the daily 200 can't hold, if the weekly 50 can't hold, if the monthly 10 can't hold, then there's nothing that's going to hold this thing up. And I think that's generally the direction that things are going to go. How about UNG? Natural gas. I know it's pretty crazy with what's going on with Ukraine and natural gas and winter coming, all that stuff. I get it. You know, I get it. If we look at this and we're like, how can this not go higher? There's so much demand. I get it. But we really have to just keep looking at the charts. And you know what the charts tell me? Price up, Moxie indicator down, that's negative divergence. And you know what? We took a quick little trade right in through there, and we got out. And part of the reason I got out of that, you know, number one, kind of double top. Number two, look how much distance there was between price and the daily 50. Already we know that divergence on the hourly chart. And then you know what? There's your Moxie price trigger. And then you know what even more? There's price doing a little bit of an inverse trampoline move on the hourly chart, and price is trying to push up across a downtrending moving average. And look at the Moxie indicator. Red, red, red. Just all red. Just red. So, yeah, we look at that, and where's price? Right back down to the daily 50. So, again, those of you who are in the Moxie indicator group, taking my classes, and you know, you guys see the things I talk about, and what levels and moving averages and all that kind of stuff that are important. Boom. You should have seen that. I know that there are a couple of us took some trades here from up here down down there, so that was pretty nice. And you know what? Going into the weekend, let me zoom into this. What do we got here? Right smack into the underside of a downtrending daily 50. So that should have been pretty easy. Price just flagged right into that moving average, Moxie indicator below zero. I mean, talk about a layup. So hopefully nobody was too surprised about a downtrend on something like that. All right, so semiconductors, SOXX, same basic thing. Everything is down, moving down. You know, I think things are pretty oversold, so maybe we get a bounce, you know, something like that. But I'm looking for to short the bounce. That's the basic idea right through here. So not too much to talk about that one. How about UU? Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Uranium. And again, I know we got Japan talk about they're going to reinvigorate with uranium and all that kind of stuff. And there was a lot of volume that came in, and it was looking a little, you know, kind of taunted with us and, you know, looking at this kind of stuff. But what do we got? We got price up over the weekly 50, the Moxie indicator below zero. And you know what? Honestly, it was trying to push up across a downtrending monthly 10. So for as much as Japan or any other country might be renewing their interest in uranium and nuclear and all that kind of stuff, we just still have to deal with the market, and that's not where things are at. There was some volume that came in there, but we still have these moving averages, and we still have the overall trend of the market that we have to contend with. And for now, and I could be wrong about this, you know, maybe price holds the daily 21, maybe this ends up being a trampoline move, maybe price gets back over the hourly 15, keeps going up. But I don't know. It's kind of hard to think that uranium is going to go up when oil and natural gas and any other energy type fuel is going down. So that's kind of my basic idea. And if you look at the bigger picture, we have price trying to go up across a newly kind of downtrending daily 50. So I'm not so sure about that. I know what the Moxie indicator is pointing at and talking about, but I just kind of look at the bigger picture, and I don't know. If I'm wrong about that, then great. But I just don't think uranium's going to really be the place that money's going to be going towards, especially if natural gas and oil are going down. How about FXI? Look at China, and we were seeing some moves up in China because we were originally, let me kind of slide over here. Let's see what I got. There we go. Because they're easing, they're doing quantitative easing, they're lowering interest rates, they're trying to put some money into their economy, all that kind of stuff. So we got some really big moves like this. But you know what? We got price up against a downtrending hourly 50 or hourly 200. And what did price do? Ran right up into the underside of a downtrending daily 50. That was a lot of stuff, a lot of moving averages that price had to run into and kind of deal with. And then what? Right here, this was the last saving grace. If price was going to go up, it needed to basically hang here at that moving average and start moving up. And you know what it did instead? Just torpedoed, really rolled over. So I think China's done. I just don't see any strength here. Nothing's really going on. K-Web, kind of looking the same way. Kind of zoom in on this kind of stuff. You know, same thing. You could see that news and all that kind of stuff. Whatever it was, you know, price just kind of jumped up there. But you know what? Right here at the decision point where it came back to the hourly 50, couldn't hold it. Just couldn't do it. Downtrending moving averages, just couldn't do it. So I think that should be a pretty good example of just things that are just not holding up. There's really no strength out there. I'm just really not seeing any serious flight to safety of anything that we're super interested. Hey, you know, maybe Coca-Cola, maybe things like that, you know, whatever, but I'm not interested. Maybe Hershey's, but that's not my game, you know. And what do we got? Neo ran right smack into the underside of the daily 50. How about this? Right where it needed to hold the hourly 50, if this thing was going to go up, couldn't do it. And you know what? Could not hold the 50, could not hold the 50, could not hold the 50. So every single time, based on my rules and my kind of trading, that we should have seen price move up, if this was going to work, fail. Could not do it, could not hold those moving averages, just kept demonstrating weakness. And so that's Neo. And maybe you're thinking, well, those are electric cars. Maybe that's a specific thing, okay? Well, let's take a look at Baba. And what is Baba doing here? You could see again, there we had the, you know, across the board, we had these kind of pops. What are they? They just look like pops and flops to me. I tried to go up like this, couldn't do it. Right there, moving average, couldn't hold it. What did it do? Run right into the moving average, still couldn't do it. Baba, and we got Baidu. You know, just, I mean, honestly, I had somebody asking me about Roku last week, and I said Roku's just a piece of garbage. It is just so choppy. Hey, maybe in a couple years or a couple months, like when you name it, maybe Roku springs back to life again. Great, I'll trade it. But you know what? Roku and Baba and some of these names like this is a hot piece of garbage. There's nothing to do here. If you want to day trade it, be my guest. You know, there are moves in here. Sure, you can do things like that. But if you're trying to be a swing trader or you're trying to find opportunities, does that look like something you want to trade? I don't think so. It's not doing anything. It can't hang on to anything. You get these moves up and then they fail. You get these move downs, they pop. Like, there's not much to work with here. And same thing. Like, look at this. It can't hold anything on the hourly chart. So we can choose where we want to risk our money. We can choose what kind of, you know, area we want to play in and trade and all this kind of stuff. And sure, there are moves, but do we really want to be playing in this? And I think that's the basic understanding of us as traders, that we can choose where we want to put our money and where we want to risk and what opportunities we see. And right now, I just don't see any opportunities there. And for the rest of the market, I mostly see downside. And I think that is the general direction of the market. So you guys take care. Make sure you understand where things are going. And yeah, if you're interested, let's see what I do with all this. Well, anyway, wherever. It's profitpilot.com if you guys are interested. We got a lot going on there if you're interested. Look at the Moxie Mastery Trading Room. And if you guys like the way that I look at the market and kind of see things and with the Moxie indicator and do all this kind of stuff, come check it out. Love to see you guys. And take care. We'll see you at the next one.